everyday people listening to this are not understanding one point. What are you putting on the table?
Highest amount of renters, lowest amount of homeowners. Kind of seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Highest rental prices, the most amount of renters.
This is going to trigger people. I do hear a lot of complaints amongst the young people about it. It's almost like the victim card they wave around and be like, oh, back then houses weren't $1 million.
Generation prior to ours had a very easy run into the housing market. But now I think people are kind of opting more to go into cryptocurrency as well as standard stock market in general.
Houses are 10 times more expensive, probably more than 10 times more expensive than what it was. But your wages aren't 10 times more. That's just the way the world is. They love to go and be like, the world's changed. Yeah, you're right, it's changed. Don't give up on it. Doesn't matter how hard it seems, you can do it.
I did a free trial at
Yeah.
during the startup, the chick's like, just hold on a second. You gotta go talk to Dave or whatever. And so Dave comes out of the back room and he's like, and this was like at 8 p.m. So they're closing up in like 15 minutes. So he's like, I want to make a sale. And he ran me through the whole thing. And he basically was saying like, you're not going to be able to train if you sign up, unless you sign up. And if you sign up right now, we'll comp the first month or whatever. But if you do the free trial, you won't be able to get any of that. You have to sign up full price. And I was like, dude, I'm just here for a free trial. Like, I'm literally just here to use the free trial thing. Like, I'm not signing up. I don't live anywhere near here.
Yeah.
And he just didn't get it. And he just kept going. He kept going like, oh, no, you got to sign up. Like, if you sign up, the free trial is going to be a waste. You know, you're gonna waste some money.
There's so much issues with
this.
this. There's so much issues with this because he wants to probably meet his KPI on that day. Right?
Literally, he's
but
like,
he doesn't understand that you're probably your deferredness. Even if it is a sale, you probably just deterred a sale for the future.
Legit, yeah.
But he probably doesn't care. Even if you do have a sale in the future, he doesn't care because the way the KPIs are set, I don't know how it seems so short term thinking. I don't.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He's just thinking like, I don't care because I'll get another chance tomorrow to sign up.
Yeah, or you might just sign up with somebody else.
Yeah,
Like, I think this is obviously people issues, but then there's like probably all sorts of issues there. Like, how is this even? If you reward the people for making sales on today and today alone, and there's no team reward, then you probably wouldn't care.
Yeah, 100%.
So I like,
but also the guy, like, not to put the guy down or anything, but he didn't look like he'd been in a gym ever.
And
he didn't look like he works out or anything like that. So I'm like,
oh no,
what the hell? Like, okay, I get,
He's a full sales guy.
Fuck. They don't give a F. They're just like sell.
This is literally the conversation that I had with the salesperson yesterday. I feel like what is going on? Like it's 2025. Like when I said to them, people just buy through content and sign up. Like the gobsmacked sound over the phone was like,
whoa,
really? Yeah.
So he's so used to doing the cold calling, and
there was more so like, how do you guys sell without full-time salespeople? Like Amazon and like eBay, like all this stuff.
Have you ever been contacted by Amazon or
they just, I mean, a lot of them do come and sign up, but it's like a lot of people do sign up just because they decided to sign up.
Literally, yeah. They see the content. Like that's how the new age funnels work, I suppose.
Yeah, so I think, at least in the gym industry, like we don't use salespeople. Like, sorry, rephrase that. We use salespeople, but our customer service staff are our salespeople.
You don't have a dedicated sales team that are trying to meet KPIs and get refer friends and have like call lists and all this type of stuff.
Our customer service has KPIs.
Okay,
but it's more so that it needs to be intertwined with everything. It can't just be my full job is here making sales, because you got to keep the customer, you got to do all of that. But anyhow, I was having this conversation with this sales training guy because I wanted to train the guys on communication. And unfortunately, a lot of these communication trainers, they just do sales, or they're like the old fashioned way of thinking communication is just like sales. As an old fashioned guy, and I didn't have a good experience on the phone. He couldn't even sell his services to me. Plus, he was going to email me something. I haven't got the email yet. But it's just, the part that shocked me, right, was he was so old fashioned in like conversion in sales. And I said to him, if we have any kids between like 18, I say kids, but young adults between 18 to like 25. A lot of them working for us. And they're the people that need communication skills training. But the problem is we've had trainers before that did a really good training that I actually learned a lot from. The team hated him, but we had trainers where people actually liked them. But problem is I didn't feel like I learned that much from this particular trainer. But the teams don't listen anymore when they see some parts that they don't like. If there's a part of like, you don't believe in what you're selling, people stop listening to you. So essentially, like this new age, a lot of people buy online without looking. They end up trusting the company before even having like an interaction.
That's true.
And when I mentioned this to this online sales guy, he was asking, like, how do you guys make sales if you don't have professional salespeople sitting there making sales every day? I said, they buy online.
Mm.
And or they walk in very convinced that they're going to buy, or they do a trial. And our teams do convert them, but it's not as hard as you think to convert them. We don't do the whole car salesman sit down and push the hot button thing. Definitely not as much as before anymore.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to get it.
Yeah. Wow.
And then he's telling me like, Wayne, this industry is still thriving. I have 19-year-old full-time salespeople, in gyms selling memberships, making a good career out of it. I don't doubt that. I'm just surprised that this is still a growing industry. I think a lot of those sales skills needs to be taken onto like content, needs to be
true.
so much more of a holistic approach. And how many ads that the kids see all day, every day now.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I just feel like this is disconnect with like old fashioned sales versus like new age.
I agree.
Yeah.
I can't really remember the last time I was like sold directly.
Yeah.
If I go into a store or a gym or whatever, I've already been sold. Not by a person, but convinced either through the Google search. So the Google search refers to positive Google reviews. I go, all right, it's got a 4.8. I trust that. I'm not going in and with hesitancy, I'm going in to buy. Or I've looked at it online. I've been sold already through marketing, through digital marketing. Like if I go on to buy a pair of jeans, I'm not going to get sold a pair of jeans. I'm already going to buy a pair of jeans. I've already kind of conceptualized what jeans I want. Same with the gym. If I walked into a gym and I know like I've already sold myself on the gym, I'm not going to walk in and be like, hey, sell me. Or like with hesitancy, I'm coming in and be like, yeah, I just want to sign up. Like make this as easy as possible for me. Yeah. Just let me sign up. Like, do you want to talk? No, I just want to sign up.
Yeah, you're looking for reasons. If anything, you're probably looking for reasons not to buy. There are obstacles that stops you because, oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
You're not looking, you're looking for affirmation to buy once you walk in.
Almost not even. Like I'm literally just looking for the least amount of friction from point of like contact to sale.
Right.
I want this least amount because I've already been sold.
Make it easy for me.
Make it as simple as possible. Save me time. And then that's fine. That's perfect. That's all you need to do.
Yep.
And I think that's how most people get sold nowadays. Like they see their favorite influencer wearing a certain pair of clothes. Then they go into the store and then they want to buy it. They just go, where is it? Right there. Good. Buying them right now. Is it 100%. My size? Medium. Sweet. Don't want to try it on. Give it to me.
So if that person, when I signed up to that gym, had a not so good experience, instead of asking for referrals, like the effort of just taking me to the change rooms.
That would have been enough.
To show me where the change room is.
Yep.
Or just walk me around and tour me around to some of the equipment. Or even if you just asked after that, I wouldn't be being as shitty about it.
Not straight off the bat.
I haven't been in your gym,
man. First day you come in, you go, hey, do you mind giving us a Google review? Bad idea.
That's right, yeah.
Why they're going to be so much less, like more reluctant to give you a Google review or effort. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like that, that restaurant in the Glen, the hot pot. What is it called? The one you always refer to.
Haidilao, the hot pot place.
Yeah, like that.
I love that place. Yeah.
You came out of there, and I went there because you told me about it because I was like, I got to experience this.
Yeah.
But you were like, this is all the things that they did. This is the type of attention and focus they put to customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
And because of that, I went there. You were telling everyone about it.
Yeah.
But if they didn't do that, if you came in, they just barely looked at you, barely said hello, made it hard for you to order, made it hard for you to, get what you wanted, then you're not going to tell anyone. You're not going to leave it a review. Mm-hmm. So it's just being upfront and making sure you focus on the right things.
Yeah.
As opposed to, the old school sales approach just doesn't seem to work. It leaves bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Man, I think these day and age, even cars, man, maybe not for everyone, but for an enthusiast, I have already decided what car I'm going to buy.
Yeah, right. You've done the research yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to the lot and then have them be like, oh, have you checked out this one?
Yeah, I'm hoping that, if this is a new car and it's multiple dealerships, I'd like to work with a person that is a bit more considerate, that can work a better pricing for me. And to be honest, it's not even which one is more $100 cheaper. It's if this person is giving me a better customer service, I personally would like to work with this person more.
That's an interesting one. Because there's two kind of methods to buy a car when you go in. You could either get it financed, which I think like a good chunk of people do. Finance a car, I don't really know. I'm not on the fence on this. I'm strongly towards the other way. But you saw a video recently about a kind of finance guru saying that rich people do not pay for their cars in cash. Instead, they finance it and try to pay the monthly payments by investing it and receiving interest elsewhere. So if your monthly payments are, I don't know, let's just say $200, what you want to do is put all your money somewhere that earns more than $200 a month, thus paying off the car, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're on the other side of this, I believe.
Yeah, practically I'm on the other side of this. I don't think the person is a finance guru. Even if they are, there's probably more of like a clickbaity sort of video, right? I've seen so many of this. And I feel a bit of like an obligation to speak up when I see it. Because I think the people that are listening to this advice aren't going to be in the position to do that. So what they're saying is, let's just say the car is $30,000.
Yeah.
If you pay the car for $30,000, let's just say in 5 years you sell the car, it's probably going to be worth 15. So you lose 15 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, fair and square. But if you finance it, the car is also going to be worth 15 grand at the end, right? But you've actually paid more than 30 grand for it. You paid a little bit more interest on top. Let's just say you paid 40 grand for it.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is you didn't use your own 30 grand worth of cash. You can invest that into, say, like a stock or a bond or something.
Yeah.
That will likely return more than the extra interest you paid on that. And if it's more, technically the residual value of the car is the same. You paid less for it because you made money elsewhere for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So this concept makes sense, and it makes sense for rich people. But the everyday, not poor people, but everyday people listening to this, at least in our country, are not understanding one point. That there's something called serviceability. So there's two ways that you can get loans. One through collateral. There's two things that banks look at, right? One thing is collateral. So what are you putting on the table just in case you can't pay it? So if you're taking out a home loan, it's usually that 20% deposit that you pay, that's collateral. So if you can't pay it, they sell the house and they can take your house. So the title is the collateral.
Yep.
But the other side, the serviceability, is because Australia, we have something called consumer protection laws. Okay. And this happened after the global financial crisis. So the bank won't loan, or the government won't let the bank loan you an amount that they think you can't pay. So if you're someone that doesn't understand this financial knowledge, you probably don't have an infinite amount of income. So if your repayment for that car is $1,000 a month, in 3 years' time, you try and get a home loan, you get your home loan denied because you already have a car loan. And I have friends that experience this. So they actually bought a house, financially uneducated, but real world people suffer like this. So they bought a house and it was conditional loan approved. And they felt pretty good about this. And for some reason, they didn't know the conditional loan approved is if you don't have any other loans.
Ooh, okay.
So they went and bought another car because the salesperson convinced that it's cheaper to buy on finance because they also get a finance commission out of it. So they bought the car on finance and they lost the deposit on the house because the finance got disapproved. So essentially, for at least Australian young adults, if your income is limited, which most of us are, your ability to take out loans are limited. So you want to make sure that you want to be tied down, especially if it's your first loan. You want to be tied down to a loan that is a good debt versus a bad debt.
Yeah.
And car is a bad debt because your asset is depreciating. You're also paying more interest on top. And what are the chances of you putting that $30,000 onto something that'll return you more than the interest you get on a car loan? What are they, like 10% now? Like there's what are you going to put in there that's going to get you 10% return in like a short term? So I think that advice, although it sounds smart, it's not practical for the everyday people. So who would do this? Are people with so much cash flow? So I guess the title of the thing is not wrong. It's how rich people buy cars.
Yeah.
They have like unlimited cash flow. Serviceability is not a problem for them. And they would put that money and they have access to investment options that'll give them more than the 5, 6, 7, 10% return.
Yeah.
So that makes sense for them. But for the everyday people who look at this, they'll just be confused. And they go and get a loan. Then they get tied down for a 5-year car loan. In 3 years, they want to buy a house. They realize, why did I even do this? So my point is like, not everything is as it seems.
Yeah.
In this case, if it's something like 30,000, I reckon it's easy. If you can save it, I reckon it's just, if you don't have any other loan yet, I reckon buy it with cash. And if your goal is to buy a house someday, still save towards a 30,000 for a deposit for a home. It's much better investment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'd probably even take it a step further and say that if you have 30,000, let's use that number, to buy a car, and that's like all you have, you should probably buy a cheaper car.
Well,
and then put the other money like other way. So don't like, I think people get caught up in this, because I do agree. If you have like heaps of disposable income and you're able to utilize that to earn interest elsewhere, whether through a business or through investments or whatever, then okay, that's great. Maybe you can finance a car. But if you have like $5,000 and you want to buy a 60 grand car and you're getting 55 of that on finance, that is probably the worst case scenario you could be in, because now you're paying, as you said, more than what the car is originally worth in interest for a depreciating asset, which is going to be, as soon as you take it off the lot, is going to lose like 20% of its value. So you're already paying off a very large loan on a car that's now lost 20% of its value for some of the car loans even go up to like 10 years. They offer ridiculously long car loans. And that's just not a good situation to be in. And then you kind of get in this kind of cycle of, okay, well, I've paid it off. Let's get another car. Let's jump on another finance deal. And like you said, these salesmen, they're incentivized to offer the finance because they get a commission on it. So for me, I think if you have a certain amount of money, like you just have to bite the bullet and be like, pay up front in cash.
Even as business people, by the way, I used to finance this on cars, right? Because I have a friend that works in the finance industry. He used to get me really good rates.
Yeah,
but even that is more expensive than a home loans rate. It's good for a car loan, right? But I'm a car enthusiast as well. Like I love cars, right? But even now, every time I buy a car is with cash now, because all my leverage on serviceability is used on either home loans or business loans. That's the asset that is generating the income for me. I'm not going to waste that limited serviceability that I have on, I don't know, on a depreciating asset that's like a luxury.
Yeah, I get you. I personally just I've never had a car finance loan. I don't think I ever will. I don't know. I just rather buy a car that I can afford just upfront. Like I know, and I understand, like if you have a lot of money, disposable income, then you could buy a car on finance. But still, like, I don't know, just bite the bullet and just.
It's more so the concept that if you're going to do this, understand that it's not an investment.
Nah,
okay,
it's not.
You used it to buy a toy or a luxury or like a holiday.
Yeah.
But you're not expecting this to be a good financial decision.
No,
that's
literally.
fine. But you can't be like, I did this, I did that. No, a car, if you have to finance it, you are paying interest on something that is probably not making you money unless you own a car rental company or something, of which that becomes an asset, right?
Yeah.
It's a different scenario. So I'm with, from a maturity standpoint, I'm with you on that.
On the devil's advocate, people, I don't know if it's true or not, but people believe that if you buy a car or you get a car on finance, you get a loan, you start paying it off regularly, it's helping build your credit score.
It does. That is true.
Is that true?
It is true.
How important is that? Because I feel like as long as you don't have a terrible credit score, it's not going to really be terrible in the eyes of a bank.
Okay. That is a legitimate thing, right? But there's so many other ways you can build a good credit score. I do believe that you should have some sort of like credit card or something. And it's not just credit cards. Young people don't know this. They take out a phone plan. It goes in their credit score.
That's also, exactly.
You got to pay that on time. People miss payments, gas bills, your rent sometimes. So when there is a logo on the invoice that says credit watch, these people have access to credit files to make bad reportings to you. And essentially it's like the scores in Australia ranges everything from 0 to 1,200. And if you're above 900 or 800, it's considered excellent. And if you're like below like a 400, a lot of people won't give you loans. But a lot of young people don't know this until they get something rejected. Or if you got your identity stolen, somebody can buy something and then he's actually making bad recordings to your name.
Yeah. You can do a free search on that as well.
You can do free search. Yeah. You can sign up a membership. I get mine sent to me every month, $15 a month. You can get it sent out. I'm big on this stuff. But you can build that with credit. You don't need a loan to do it. But generally speaking, your first home loan, if you make the right repayments every month, that should do it. And once you reach a really good score,
you're locked in.
It's not like infinite.
Nah. Yeah. Like you said, anything over 800, which is honestly not too hard to do.
Yeah.
As long as you haven't fucked up.
Yeah.
Like in a major way. Like you're going to be over 800.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Good debt versus bad debt. What would you classify as good debt? What would you classify as bad debt then?
Okay. Example for me right now, I only have good debts. Let me think. So bad debt would be like a pure financial terms. Okay. A bad debt would be like a car. Where you use it and you buy the car for 50,000, in 5 years it's worth 25,000.
Yeah.
But you owe money on an asset that's decreasing in value. It's bad debt. Good one is you buy a house. Given that the housing market is increasing.
Historically over time, it should. Yeah.
So if you're definitely paying interest more on the $1 million house. Let's just say you took bought a million dollar house with a $800,000 loan.
Yeah.
You owe $800,000 to the bank, but your asset is going to be worth more than $1 million in 10 years. Maybe it'll be 1.2 million.
Yeah.
So in that case, at least it's neutral, most likely going to be good. Right. But I'll give you another tricky one where I have business asset finance for a lot of our gym equipment. That's, if you bought it for your home, that's a bad debt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically giving you I don't know, health benefits. But financially it's a bad debt, right?
So if you got a loan for it.
Yes.
You're saying,
Yeah, but in business, in similar case, it's a good debt for me. Because that asset is helping us generate business income.
Yeah.
Of which is higher than the interest. So that's generally speaking, if a bad debt is usually something that has less value by the end of the term, good debt is something that helps you generate either cash flow or capital increase.
Yeah, okay. So buy now, pay later as well would probably categorize in that.
Yeah.
Credit cards, if you're actually not paying them off, do you know what I mean? If you're actually using it because you go like, this is like a loan and I'll pay it off over time. Probably bad.
In a personal case, most likely is bad. Most likely.
Like if you buy like a bag or like a shoe or shoes or whatever, it's probably not good. But then good debt, obviously, like you said, business investments, house as well. So things that historically can return in some way or at least hold their value are likely good debts. I think most people will not buy houses up front either. I think that's like almost guaranteed that someone, even if you got unlimited money, will likely. That's an interesting one actually. So if you were to buy a house, but you had the money for it up front, that would be a stupid idea, right?
Yeah, in that case it would be because it's a good debt.
Yeah.
Because the amount that you owe on it is less than, okay, let's just say you had $1 million, given that you have good income, right? If you had $1 million in cash, would you buy this house outright in cash? Or would you put a 25% deposit and buy 5?
Yeah.
So in that case, in this market, I personally will probably do the latter, maybe not 5, maybe 4 or 3. And I'll put a little more deposit in and I buy 3 houses. Financially, the housing market has been pretty shitty for us in the past couple of years. But given historically, going by historic data, that it should increase more than the amount that is costing you. But now you got 3. So you get 3 increases.
Yeah.
But if you just bought 1, you get that 1 increase.
And you can get rental income and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
So that, I think it's more so just a theory. You can't, no one's perfect. I just realized that to say that I have no bad debt is probably not true. Like I have a credit card. And sometimes you get this, you get to a point and I might use the point for a flight sometime in the future.
Yeah.
But then most credit cards are like interest free for a certain period.
Yeah, right.
And then but then sometimes you forget to make payments. So technically you incurred a bad debt. But
yeah.
In a perfect way. Yeah.
I get you. Property. I think I saw a stat that young people, or at least nowadays, the amount of people renting to owning houses is probably at the lowest in terms of the highest amount of renters, lowest amount of homeowners that it's ever been. As well as rental prices are probably the highest. So it kind of seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? The highest rental prices, but also the most amount of renters at the exact same time, which is probably leaving young Australians to seek alternative investment routes. Because I think previously you save some money, you put it in the housing market because why wouldn't you? It's likely to go up. It's a good little nest egg. But now I think people are kind of opting more to go into, I suppose, things like cryptocurrency as well as just the stock market, standard stock market in general. I'm not sure how much results they're getting, but it's a little bit unfortunate because I think people do have a hard time just entering the housing market as young people. Have you kind of seen anything like this where young Australians are, I suppose, only left with the options in order to grow their money with things like crypto or with things like the stock market?
Yeah, there's definitely an issue. And I do hear a lot of complaints amongst the young people about it. It's almost like the thing that they wave, like the victim card. This is going to trigger people. The victim card they wave around and be like, oh, back then houses weren't $1 million.
True. They definitely weren't, yeah.
True. But back then you also can't just go on Amazon and buy things. Back then you can't have access, you don't have social media. You can't make a living off YouTube.
Yeah.
This is stuff that's just the way the world is. They love to go and be like, the world's changed. Yeah, you're right, it's changed. But you also have the positive side of that too. But to then play on the empathy end, absolutely. So I'm probably lucky enough to just be a little bit before that. My first house I bought was under 400,000. And I ended up selling that to save my business during the really bad period.
Yeah.
And I sold that for not quite double, but maybe there was like a 300,000 profit in there. And that saved my business. And so the young people today probably won't have that return in the shortest period of time that I had. Unfortunately, that's a thing that I have now that they don't have. Deal with it. But there are other like good things. And I do think that housing market, I personally believe it's not a bad place to put your money. It's just definitely harder to get into now. They just have to save up a little longer for it. And naturally, there will be less people in that position too. And some people might feel like it's not worth it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I definitely see an issue with this though, because where else do you, like, from an investment perspective, and I was listening to a Tony Robbins podcast recently, and then that's literally his mission, is to make high return investment accessible to everyday people, because the highest returns are like private equity and some of the most highest returning firms aren't actually accessible to the everyday people. You got to be at least have net worth over $1 million to have a play in that.
Yeah.
That's not accessible to most people. And they have access to people like, cryptocurrency and stuff like this, but it's still very like volatile. I mean, there are people that swear by it. I bought a little bit back then. I lost quite a bit of money playing with it. But there's a lot of people that have made money in there, but I just don't think there's enough historical data to let that be a tried and trusted method. It is an area though. Like I think if people have the intent to invest, I guess that's all it is now, is the stock market and that. But I still think it's overall positive. You can put your money in like stuff like, Vanguard or something.
Yeah.
It is still perform over time and it will still do better than cash. It's just not as good as it was before, I would say, at least in the recent few years, especially in the housing market.
People, for example, like my parents would have just hit a gold rush in the housing market.
Yeah.
Easy entry, high growth, didn't have to do much, just watch it and just pay it off, which is gravy. But yeah, so I think young like people go like that and they go like, oh, okay, so there's probably not that much upside in property anymore or something like that, and also hard to get into. Guess what? I can buy this coin called Donald Trump coin and make $1 million in an afternoon or something like that. So I think they get caught up in the short term kind of.
I think that's the problem.
That's the appeal of it.
Short term thing.
Yeah. As opposed to just kind of like sitting on a nest egg and growing it up until you can, like you said, even the professional stock traders like are unlikely to beat the market. Just the S&P 500 or something like that. So which would be about, I don't know, average out to be about 7-8%, something like that. So even then, so you have $1,000, you'll make $70 a year. Okay, that's great. But people look at that and they go, fuck, that's not much. Maybe I could try and make 500 or 1,000 or triple my money or quadruple. But the chances are you're not going to outperform the market. So
yeah,
you're probably better off just waiting for that 7 to 8% to accumulate.
That's still, again, Tony Robbins talked about it in this podcast. If you started that when you're 17 or 19, you stop at 27, you can just stop at it. And that compounding interest when you retire, you're going to have $1.5 million in retirement funds. Just that, and I think it's only something like $200 a week. So that most people do have access to it over time when you retire, like when you're 65. I think the problem is what returns I'm going to see in the short term. Social media helps people see the few that have made a lot of money in the short term, that they were always there back in the days. People won lotteries and made a lot of money really quickly, but no one's smashing that in your face through social media. I think now it's just they're easily accessible. Yeah. But the majority of the public, there is an element of luck. There is an element of grace. I tend to not focus on that, but there is definitely some things that happen to someone, not less likely for you. But I think the problem, it's the time. So the thing with my house journey that I made a lot of money on, right, is the part that I hope this gives a lot of people context. I'm 36 and I sold that house. So I bought that house. I was fortunate enough to be able to do that when I was 23 or something, 22. And back then, the government had like a massive first home owners grant. So that was like more than your stamp duty or something crazy like that. Right. And I was able to buy and I paid it. So the thing I would like to say is that I did nothing. So you made a decision. I lived in it. instead of paying rent, I paid the mortgage. And in 10 years, when I needed to sell it to save my business, it had 300,000 of extra money that I did nothing to get. And through some of that equity, I was actually able to buy 2 more houses without using my cash because of the equity that can come out of it, right?
Yep.
So I definitely benefited off that. But the benefit is over the course of 10 years where I never bought the house envisioning a return in like a year or two. It was, I think my parents did have a good influence. My mom did tell me, hey, if you have the capacity to go and buy, it will be better for you in the long term. So I just treated it like a rational decision. It was like, okay, it's almost like buying this pair of jeans that has more pockets.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, right.
I'll do that. And I treated it like a administrative process. I didn't feel really proud for owning the home. I was so young that I didn't really cherish it. I didn't make it look like mine. It was just the home. But in 2016, a few years after that, I think a customer walked up to me at my own gym, walked up to me and said, hey, I do investment banking. And if you have a property, by the sounds like you have a property, the housing market is great. I can probably do a refinance, get some equity, I'll buy another one for you. So I treated it like a business decision. It wasn't something, I wasn't expecting a return from it. I just thought, if you say it's the right thing to do, let me do my research. And turns out it was the right thing to do. And I just did it. I remember it was like buying like groceries. It was zero like emotional attachment to this. But it was when I needed it that I looked back and be like, wow, time is going to pass anyway. So the quote that hit me was, don't ever not do something because the time it will take to achieve it, because time is going to pass anyway.
True, yeah. True.
I look back and realize I'm 10 years older. I did the same job. I had the same friends. My life went on. The difference is if I didn't do this, I would have been this many 100,000 less. So that is a bit hard to get into. But with that, I think the nectar there is not how fast the return was. It could have been 300,000, could have been 100,000. But the key thing was time. I think if you're going to look at long-term investments for short-term gains.
And the compound effect just works. You don't have to, the best part about it is you don't actually have to think about it, which is nice. Like watching your investment or investing in the stock market or investing in cryptocurrency or whatever the hell the avenue that a young person might choose, it's fucking stressful. It's stressful to individually
it's to look
invest.
at it every day and be like, what's happening to my...
it's stressful to, there's people that get paid to do this because it's a hard job. It's literally a difficult job. And what's the Warren Buffett quote is, rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 2 is don't lose money. Oh, rule number 2 is check rule number 1 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
He says a lot about that. He says we just have to be more disciplined. We don't have to be smarter than the rest. And he says the only reason why people can't make money is people aren't willing to wait. It's everything to do with patience. If you break down everything that he says is to do with patience.
Literally, yeah, just wait.
Yeah, I think it's easier for me because when I bought a home, it wasn't for a business decision for a return. I was told it was the right thing to do and it would be good for you in the long term. Kind of like, I don't know, go to the gym is good for your health in the long term. I didn't go in there for bigger biceps the next day. And then like 10 years pass and you go, oh.
Yeah, no, well, the time's going to pass anyway. If you might as well work out and see something at the end of it. Yeah. No, I agree.
That delayed gratification.
That's it, yeah. And the compound effect is truly pretty fucking remarkable. But I brought this up once at the speech, training day seminar, but the amount of times it takes a penny to get to $1 million, like to double each time, is so low. Like it's actually scary because people would probably be like, oh, it's got to be like 1,000 times or 100 times or something like that.
Yeah.
It's only 27 times, I believe.
Yep.
And the most amount is all in the last 3. So you start doing it and you're like at 20 doubles and you're like, I'm at 1,000. What the heck? And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 and now it's at $1 million.
That very trick I used to use as a, conversion sales tool when I was doing sales jobs for multi-level marketing when I was in my late teens, 18. So the question was that, all right, I'm going to offer you 2 jobs. One, and both jobs only go for a month, for 30 days. First job, I'll pay you $10,000 a day. I'm going to pay you $10,000 a day consistently for 30 days. So you can do the math, 300,000 at the end of the month.
Yeah.
The second job, I'm going to give you a cent. 1 cent on the first day, but it doubles every day for 7 days. Which one would you pick, right? Now, obviously, when you listen to the question, you know what compounding effect is.
Yeah,
you pick
yeah.
the second one. But most people do the math, but there is no way a cent can turn into 300 grand. So I know for a fact that in 30 days, on the 30th day, I think it's 5 million.
Yeah, yeah.
So in total, if you add everything up, it's something just short of 10 million.
Yeah.
But for a person thinking about this, when you're on your 20th day, you're still not anything close to that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like would you rather have $10 million now or like $5,000 every day for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have $5,000
that's not even
every single day.
compounding. That's not even compounding.
You just get
that's
it. But like people start to think like, oh, I'd rather have $10 million right now because I'm going to make way more than $5,000 a day with $10 million.
Yeah.
No, lock in $5,000 a day for the rest of your life, bro. That sounds great.
Yes. So again, it's, wow, even back then, I realized that, I guess a problem here, we can say that it's not at least just like the hard entry on housing market and stuff with investment. It's actually the tendency to I want something now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there is that. It was so not to. I think the generation prior to ours had a very easy run into the housing market. And that is a lot more of a stretch for a young person nowadays.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't seem like bang. Like it's a no-brainer. When you're 18 and you're in 1982 or something, it's like, what else am I going to do?
Well, look at it this way. So the houses are 10 times more expensive, probably more than 10 times more expensive than what it was.
Yeah.
But your wages aren't 10 times more. Probably
exactly.
doubled, right?
Yep.
So you're still 5 times less likely or harder to buy a house than it was before. That's a fact. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But then you can't, what are you going to do about it though? You're going to look at it like that. You have to then just turn to the positives. I don't think it's out of reach. I still think you can. Like even for me, even though my house was 400,000 that I first bought, you probably can't get the equivalent house of 400,000 now, but mine also wasn't 4,000. So it's sort of got there gradually, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely still, you can look at it as a glass half full approach still.
I do think they need to ease up on maybe the restrictions of loan lending, because a lot of the time these people are paying the same amount that they would in a loan for rent each week.
Right.
So it's like they need more accessibility to be able to buy a house.
Is that the deposit that they struggle with, right?
Yeah, it is. But still, if they're able to, like, you should be able to look at that and go like, all right, they've paid off rental every week for 2 years. That's pretty good track record.
I see. So reduce the barrier of entry.
Yeah, exactly. For young people. Yeah. Which I think they're trying to do. I think they're trying to do like a 5% deposit and they'll cover it. Or even like some people can get like a 1% deposit or something like that. But we won't get into the semantics of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just definitely young people just need to be able to enter the housing market, make it a little bit easier for them, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think there's just happy renters. They're just like, screw it, I'll just rent. Why would I grit, and I'll do that when I'm 35 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's just important for young people to know, if you're in this position, don't give up. Don't give up on it. The dream is, even doesn't matter how hard it seems, you can do it. Like that's the message you want to send, right? You can still do it.
The Australian rental property dream.
Whatever the dream is, it's harder for you, but it's all right. There are certain things that's going your way, and I still think you can do. I'm that optimistic person that thinks that everyone can live their best life. If you just commit to it, that aim is there, you have a strong enough reason to do it, you spend a reasonable amount of time searching for the strategy, it becomes a matter of time, not a matter of, it's a matter of when, not a matter of if. So commit to the better outcome. It's tougher, yes, empathy, but we can still do it.